Who would Sir like to see this time?
I'd like to use the library again.
Very well. I will show Sir the way, since it seems the labyrinthine corridors of this vast edifice are beyond Sir's meager navigational skills.
We have several more topics that we can look up. Let's start with the flyer.
I looked up Hwel in the library and found his complete works. In there was a discussion of the 8 great tragedies, Hwel's bloodiest works. From the About the Author paragraph, I learnt that Hwel was a dwarf who was banished from his tribe not only because of his claustrophobia, but because of his tendency to daydream. Both undesirable, to say the least, if you work in a mine. 102, and in the prime of his life for a dwarf, Hwel now worked for Vittler's Plays at the Disc Theatre as one of the premier playwrights of the day. The 8 great tragedies were given in great detail. 8 plays, each with a collection of murders, usually with one more particularly gruesome or grotesque than the others, presumably for use in publicity trailers. The publicity trailers helped draw people into the theater by being towed around town to display posters. There was something suspiciously familiar about some of those murders. I'd learnt about the 8 great tragedies, a series of plays written by the dwarfish playwright Hwel, each featuring at least one outlandish murder. Something about the 8 great tragedies reminded me of recent events in Ankh-Morpork. The 8 great tragedies were still in the complete works of Hwel. Well, it wasn't like they were going anywhere. Cheery collection of plays. In Titus Diplodocus, Titus was responsible for dismembering and eating various people before meeting his own grisly demise. In almost all the other plays, the lead met a horrible end. The Happy Prince of Copperhaven, who was poisoned at the end, and Tilogy and Cleffatara, who were stabbed and poisoned by an asp, respectively. Kensington, who was strangled by his wife. The leering king, who had his eyes gouged out. The tyrant, who was stabbed repeatedly in the back. And Truculus and Cressylic. He gets dragged through the streets of Sort until dead, and she is one of the tiny handful of protagonists to actually survive one of Hwel's action-packed blockbuster murder fests. If they held a Protagonists of Hwel's Tragedies annual reunion, the only other person there would be the lead role in The King of Ankh. I looked up Unseen University policy in the library and found the university prospectus. Not only were the iconographs in it at least 30 years out of date, but the prospectus made Ankh-Morpork sound like the cultural center of the Disc, and not the rancorous cesspool that it was. It did mention, however, that progression through the 8 levels of wizardry is determined in part by the acquisition of degree qualifications, and particularly towards the top of the tree, where the number of places became few and far between, by a policy of dead man's pointy boots, no questions being asked about the manner of them emptying. This information, although thorough, seemed of absolutely no use to me.
What do you mean? You were trying to find out what it was a lot earlier than this.
The Necrotelecomnicon was a book that legend spoke of, saying that any mortal man who read it would be driven insane. I learnt about it from a copy of Necrotelecomnicon discussed for students with practical experiments that I found in the library. In this tome, there is a description of the old dark gods of the Disc, including the terrible laddering holler, Nylonathotep. Apparently, Nylonathotep was once summoned by a series of 8 murders, forming a perfect octagram, focused at the center of the Circle C, thus releasing it from the sunken city of Leshp, where he was trapped, along with drunken Cthulhu Bapalulu. The book speculated about the whereabouts of Nylonathotep now, but beyond him being safely imprisoned somewhere around the Circle C, it drew no conclusions.
What is a laddering horror?
I wanted to find out what the strange symbol in the sanctuary meant. I found the obscure star-like symbol in the Necrotelecomnicon discussed for students. It called it the sign of the eel, or the Elver sign. It was apparently a protective ward against some of the older, darker gods of the Discworld. The tome also explained how to inscribe one, the order of tracing being very important. Not that I believed any of this mumbo-jumbo, but hey, you can't afford to be too careful, right? The symbol I'd found in the sanctuary was the ancient Elver sign, which apparently was a ward against the old dark gods of the Discworld. I checked that I had remembered how to draw the sign of the eel correctly, and I had. I looked up the octagram of murders in the library, but I could only find the entry I'd already seen in Necrotelecomnicon discussed for students.
Wasn't that book over here? Alright, we're done for now. Let's head back to the Disc Theatre.
Mind if I ask some more questions?
It is neither here nor there. I couldn't possibly help you with that, my boy.
Yeah, for some reason they are 2 separate entries. I thought they were linked.
What would you say if I told you I suspected people are being murdered to summon a terrible entity to destroy the city?
I would say, doomsday is near, die merrily.
That's from one of these silly plays, isn't it?
The King of Ankh, Act 4, Scene 1.
I was serious, you know. The disc might be the focal point for infernal forces that could destroy the city. I'd enjoy talking to you a lot more if you'd just stop quoting those damn plays. Do you realize how pathetic this makes you look?
What? Must I hold a candle to my shames?
You know, I think I'll be glad if this place does get destroyed by horrors from beyond time and space.
It'd be great publicity. Should I tell them how to spell my name?
Tell me about the 8 great tragedies, and don't make me regret asking you about this.
The 8 great tragedies are considered to be among the finest of Hwell's plays, each one a poignant drama with an insight into the mortal condition.
That's all you have to say?
I could tell you much more.
Such as?
I could tell of the soul-searching anguish of Village in The Happy Prince of Copperhaven, as he struggles to decide whether to avenge the death of his father, whilst in the meantime inadvertently stabbing and poisoning the entire cast in oh so many humorous misunderstandings.
No, that's fine.
Oh, in the dead vast middle of the night, he cries. Oh, that my lover's father had not hidden behind that tapestry whilst I was practicing with my poignard.
That's enough.
And the famous soliloquy, to be or not to be. Oh, what's the point? Nobody's listening. Or perhaps I could tell of the tempestuous love of Antilogy for Cleopatra, queen of the Jelly Baby.
Stop it!
Perhaps the unspeakable acts of Titus Diplodocus. If one good deed in all my life I did, I do repent it from my very soul. There. That's all, folks.
All right, enough.
Our revels now are ended.
Stop! I knew I shouldn't have asked.
Did he just quote Porky Pig?
Well, I have to go.
Ah, parting is such sweet sorrow.
Whatever.
We know how to draw this symbol, so let's give this a try on these strange markings.
I traced the sign of the eel across the marks, exactly as I'd learned how to do in the Libraris Apocrypha. There was a faint click, and the next thing I knew, there was a passageway under the stage. The passageway led into a dark and ominous vault. The whole sepulchral temple seemed to be formed from curves and angles that would give geometry teachers nightmares.
I just thought this would fit very well into Dark Souls. The stairway down reminded me of where Havel resides.
The centerpiece to this disturbing chamber was a stone altar, engraved with a map of the Circle Sea. It looked centuries old, the kind of altar that could tell a few tales if it could talk. I was glad it couldn't. The map of the Circle Sea seemed to be the only interesting feature of the altar.
This is meant to be a map. Alright, let's try to use this octagram. How many points are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so yes, there's 8 points. And we have an octagram.
Using the map, I worked out where each of the 8 great tragedies had taken place. They made an octagram around the edge, just like the counterweight killings did in Ankh-Morpork. I could match each of the tragedies to one of the murders, and the positions corresponded precisely. I knew that someone was going to get dragged to death from the Wizard's Pleasance, and that some unlucky fellow was going to get eaten in Dagon Street.
But nothing has appeared here to say we have new locations. This kind of threw me off when I did my practice run of this segment of the game, because I was expecting those 2 locations to appear on the map. And even though Luton knows the locations, we still have to return to the sanctuary. It took me ages to work this one out. I had to look this up in the end. To actually unlock the locations, we need to use either the counterweight killings clue or the octagram of murders on the map here.
The murders were marking out a perfect octagram, just like the one that had been used to free Nylanethotep from sunken Leshp centuries ago. If I was right, there would be 2 more murders, one in Dagon Street and one in the Wizard's Pleasance. If I knew which one was next, I could stake it out. In the center of the octagram was the Disc Theater, which almost certainly meant some kind of cosmic evil was entombed there.
I mean, drawing the octagram on the map makes sense, but it just seems a little bit odd that it's happening now. We already knew about the disc being in the middle, the Disc Theatre, sorry. Oh well, I will shut up about this.
The Pleasance was part of Unseen University, nestled against the River Ankh and cut off from the city by a wall. Dagon Street was a small, inconsequential alley in downtown Moorpork.
This is a small alley? Or maybe it's an alley that's off Dagon Street? Well, this is Dagon Street.
The moon over Dagon Street lit the rundown alley. It didn't look like anyone was around. It was as abandoned as the Octarine Parrot on open stage night.
Is this Dagon or Dagon?
One of the shops in the street was called the Three Jolly Luck Takeaway Fish Bar. I remembered that name from somewhere. Something to do with Mr. Hong. I remember he went missing somehow. I wasn't about to take the sign. The abandoned fish bar was boarded up tight. I couldn't pull the boards off with my hands. Where I'd pulled away the boards was an open window. The fish bar was full of cooking pots, only to be expected, I guess. I don't know what the last thing cooked here was, but it seemed to have been prepared recently.
Fish?
The fish bar was littered with assorted debris. Amongst the debris, I found a bone that seemed a little out of place.
That is one big bone. I'm guessing that this does not belong to a fish.
The bone seemed out of place somehow. I wasn't sure why. I knew there was something familiar about the bone. It was a human femur. Just like in Titus Diplodocus, someone had been dismembered and eaten. That meant there was only the Wizard's Pleasance to go, and the octagram would be complete. There was a disturbing dark magenta scent in the fish bar, something that resonated with cosmic evil. It scared me. It scared me that anything could have such a disturbing scent. And it scared me that I could tell what color cosmic evil was.
So this is different to the serial killer's scent? Oh yeah. So there's 2 killers now.
There was definitely some similarity between the magenta and dark magenta scents, but it wasn't clear to me what that connection might be.
They look fairly similar, but there are definitely different hues.
The purple scent was quite distinctive. I'd know it if I smelled it again.
That rules out Carlotta, thankfully. Alright, let's go and check out the Wizard's Plaisance.
The Wizard's Pleasance was a small, newt-haunted meadow in a horseshoe bend in the Ankh, inside the grounds of the Unseen University, separated from it but connected to the university gardens by the Bridge of Sighs. On summer evenings, if the wind is blowing towards the river, it is a nice area for a stroll. I wasn't an expert on dogs, but I thought that this black, thoroughbred dog was a Klachian hound, also known as the Kelef Klachani. Small, proud, and ruthless, the Kelef Klachani were prized by dog breeders throughout the Circle Sea. What this one was doing out on the streets was anyone's guess.
So this is not Gaspode.
I thought about petting the dog, but there was something about the way he looked that made me think twice, maybe even 3 times about it. The Pleasance was cut off from the city by a tall exterior wall. I couldn't easily scale the wall.
Where are you going, Luton?
The Pleasance was full of dense bushes. I didn't know how long I'd have to wait until something happened, but it turned out to be less than I thought. I'd suspected I'd been being followed, and I wasn't surprised to find that Al Kali was skulking around behind me. Gods alone knows how he got into the university, but if I could do it, I guess anyone could. It was over in seconds. I was about to follow the killer's trail when I saw a familiar face.
Why did you carry on with the case, Luton?
Too many people told me to stop.
I was hoping it wouldn't come to this. I like you, Luton. It didn't have to be this way.
So you're behind this, are you?
I'm just a servant. My master, Anu, is behind this.
That beast is Mooncalf's god?
Mooncalf didn't start this cult. I did. When the last human worshippers of Anu had passed on, leaving only an empty temple in their wake, the cult lived on among the lycanthropes. My late husband got me involved, and I came back to Ankh-Morpork to arrange everything.
Came back?
I thought you'd realize, Luton. I'm Therma.
It figures. You killed Malachite, didn't you?
I didn't kill any of them. My master did that. We just arranged everything for him. He's stronger when we gather together and pray.
You were in the Temple of Small Gods each time there was a murder.
It was a perfect alibi.
Why was Malachite looking for you?
I'm his sister.
His sister? Hands up who can spot the big problem here.
I was adopted by Mr. and Mrs. Karst. They named me Therma. And Malachite and I grew up together.
What happened?
It's a tough life when you're a poor troll. And tougher still when you weren't born a troll. I used to sit at the table eating bread, while the rest of the family was chewing coal sandwiches, That kind of thing leaves its mark on a girl.
My heart bleeds for you.
Malachite and I broke into the von Uberwald mansion and made off with some of the Count's valuables, including that pendant you've been carrying around.
And that jeweled box in the carriage that presumably held the asp that poisoned Reagan.
That's right.
How did you and Malachite get separated?
He got caught, but he didn't tell the watch about me. I thought I'd seen the last of him. I sold most of what I got, and I was living off it comfortably. But I'd seen that painting in the hallway, and it got me thinking.
The painting that looks like you?
Exactly. I reinvented myself as a debutante, and I seduced Ulrich and married into high society. I went back to Uberwald with him, changed my name to Carlotta, and my life as a troll was forgotten. Therma was dead. Long live Carlotta von Uberwald.
Did you know Ulrich was a werewolf?
Not until the honeymoon. That was a surprise, I can tell you. Not entirely an unpleasant one, I have to say.
How did you get involved in this cult business?
Before he died, Ulrich inducted me into the worship of Anu Anu, and it became my mission to engineer his return to power. I recruited followers and we prayed to him, gradually awakening his consciousness. He'd been stuck in the form of a small dog on the streets of Al-Khali for decades, not even remembering who he was. As our numbers grew, Anu Anu's power grew, and eventually he was able to slip aboard a ship and steal his way here to Ankh-Morpork.
The Milka.
That's right. The Milka also stopped off at Sort, where it picked up Mundi. He was supposed to be bringing us the Sortese Fallschirm, having stolen it from a dig at Sorta. The archaeologists didn't even know it was there. Unfortunately, what we hadn't counted on was that Mundi was a man with few scruples and even less brains to go with it. Either he approached Horst, or Horst approached him. One way or another, he arranged to sell the sword to that devious troll.
Only he didn't have the sword, did he? He'd concealed it in one of the crates in the cargo hold.
We didn't know that. We just knew that Mundi had gone to ground. That's why I hired you to find him.
And when I did, your cult killed him. Only you'd expected the sword to be with him. And by the time he was dead, it was too late to ask him where he'd put it.
We couldn't believe our luck when you found the sword for us after Mundi's death. I'm sorry that my master had to stab you to get it.
Did you know I was going to get killed? Was that why you made me into a werewolf?
I suspected that things would get a little rough for you, and I believed you were too valuable an asset to waste.
I'm flattered. And the counterweight killings were your cult attempting to summon Nyarlathotep by mimicking the way he was summoned before. I don't get it.
With the Falchion, my master can defeat the laddering horror again, and he will grow in power, ascending to the ranks of the most powerful gods, where he belongs.
That's all very well, but a lot of people died for that dream. You can't just go around killing people whenever the notion strikes you. It's not polite.
What are the lives of a few people against the prize?
Reagan knew, didn't he? Or at least suspected.
I don't know what he actually knew, but he suspected a lot. He'd been blackmailing me for weeks.
The envelope in his locker. He said he had evidence, didn't he?
I didn't know it was empty. He said he had proof, and he knew enough that I couldn't take any chances. He had to go.
Why are you telling me all this?
It's customary for the villain to explain his evil schemes when the hero is captured.
I'm no hero, and you're no villain either. We're just people.
You know it's not too late, Luton. Join us.
Join your cult. What happens if I refuse?
There's no point in refusing. It's already too late to stop the summoning of Nyarlathotep. Al-Khali was the 8th murder. Even now, the other cultists are gathering at the focal point for the invocation.
That would be the temple under the Disc Theater, I take it.
You're good. I'll give you that. Let's go, or we'll miss the pre-summoning.
What if I try to stop you?
Like I said, it's already too late for that. Join us, Luton. You know it's the only choice.
I could kill you and make a run for it.
You wouldn't hurt me, would you, Luton? After all we've been through.
You arranged the murder of your own brother, and you'd have me killed too if I got in the way.
So what? In this world, you get one chance at happiness.
You may be right. All right. I'll go along with this for now, but I'm not making any promises for the future.
That's good enough for me.
Carlotta told me she would have to bind me in case I got any foolish ideas, and then she escorted me into the depths of the temple. It looked like the whole crowd was there. As well as Carlotta, I recognized Mooncalf and Warb, the wizard from Saturnalia. 8 of them in all, 1 for each person on the list. But my attention was drawn to the hulking mass of Anu Anu, and the golden sword that he was wielding like it was a toothpick.
It begins.
Take your places, people. Everyone remember your lines.
Nylonetatep, who summoned thee? In accordance with the ancient pacts, we have made 8 sacrifices in the manner prescribed. Come to us.
I was filled with an overwhelming sensation of dread. I guess summoning rituals have that effect on me.
It is here! Now I command you, by the power of the fashion, to bend to my will. Bend to my will, I command thee. I hold the fashion. You will obey me.
I got the impression that that wasn't supposed to happen. The next thing I knew, the temple was coming apart at the seams, and rocks were falling everywhere. I don't know what was wrong, but it seemed as if Anu Anu couldn't control the unspeakable force of cosmic horror that he had unleashed, and now it was loose in the city. As if my day wasn't bad enough already.